NHL game review of the night: Bruins versus Maple Leafs. Boston wins this one 3-2. Some notes before we get started here. Tuukka Rask started for Boston, and Michael Hutchinson, Toronto's backup to their backup, started for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Starting with some pregame notes on Boston, they came into this game 7-3-0, coming off a loss to Washington on Thursday. Toronto also played against New Jersey that day and won. So Boston ended up being 4 points behind Toronto after Thursday's games. Now Toronto also still has one game in hand, but after tonight, Boston's only 2 points back at Toronto. Toronto needs to get that home ice advantage. Otherwise, they just can't beat. Just can't beat Boston. It's like they're cursed. This happens every game now. It feels like they play this team. They just cannot beat them. Whether they're injured, whether they're all healthy, it doesn't matter. It's like the curse of the Bambino, but in Toronto, I don't get it. Anyway, so Charlie McAvoy was back in the lineup for the Bruins, which meant they had to scratch one of their starting defensemen, and it happened to be John Moore, in which they got from New Jersey in the offseason. I can't remember if it was a trade. I think it was a UFA signing. They had to scratch John Moore, a defenseman Leafs would love to have in their bottom three, whatever right now, because they could use just a little more grit overall. But having that stay at home, hard knocks kind of D-man. In any case. For Toronto news, Toronto's 7-3-0 coming into this game. They had won their last game against New Jersey, as I just mentioned, on Thursday. Tyler Ennis is still out with an injury. So Frederic Gauthier was sort of playing. Par Lindholm moved to the wing. Gauthier was center. And Connor Brown was playing, I believe, right side on Toronto's fourth line. Goalies. Toronto has another goalie issue again. It's unbelievable. After losing McElhinney and Pickard to waivers at the beginning of the season, now they could have a similar issue because Garrett Sparks has been injured for the last week or so with a concussion he received during a Toronto's practice off a couple shots from a puck to the head by William Nylander. And Frederik Andersen has been nursing a groin injury for the past couple of weeks or so. However, a few days ago, during an interview, it sounded like he was going to be able to start today's game against Boston. Then all of a sudden, earlier today in the morning, Frederik Andersen came down with flu symptoms and he couldn't play, and Michael Hutchinson had to start the game tonight. Now, not only was this a very important game because Toronto could have evened out the series with Boston, and who knows if they ended up tied for points at the end of the season, it would go to whoever won the series, which now Boston has. But if Hutchinson plays, Toronto's backup to their backup, plays one more game, which would be in Colorado on Monday. If he plays that game, he would then be eligible to be claimed off of waivers. He'd have to go through waivers before being sent down to the AHL, which means Toronto just gave up a fifth-round pick to Florida for nothing. Now, the ideal situation, of course, is Frederik Andersen plays that game. Kazimir Kaiseko, I know I'm saying that wrong, who is Toronto Marlies AHL starting goaltender, would back up Frederik Andersen, and Hutchinson would be sent down to the AHL, so they just wouldn't lose him for nothing. Because I would assume eventually when Garrett Sparks gets healthy and Toronto has Andersen and Sparks back as their top two, Hutchinson would probably be traded for something later on or before the trade deadline, or just stay with the Marlies and stay as their starting goaltender. In any case, that's it for all the pregame stuff. Let's get right to the board. First period, Krejci scores. He gets his ninth of the season off of Curley and Chara. Curley, remember that name. We'll talk more about him in a minute. Now, Toronto outshoots Boston 15-9. Now, Boston came out of this game raining fire in the first couple minutes, but it was soon taken over by Toronto for the rest of the period, and they spent a lot of time in the Boston zone. Now, I digress on this first goal here. Now, that was scored off a line change, of a Boston Bruins line change, in which they were forechecking hard and a winger shot it from the blue line, which was Curley shot it towards the net, in which was then tipped in by Krejci, just off the shaft of his stick or something. And then all of a sudden it's 1-0 Bruins after Leafs were just really had to look like they were taking over that game. Second period, Maple Leafs tie the game. Janssen gets his 10th of the season, assisted by Kapanen and Matthews. This one was just a really sweet pass and play. A lot of hard work being paid off here. Janssen gets the puck high in the slot and shoots it right on Rask, and it makes contact with Rask's glove. He actually gets a piece of it, but it deflects off his glove, falls down between his legs, and triples into the net. So yeah, you could say that's kind of lucky which way you look at it, but they worked hard on that play. The passing was just it was just a real sweet pass and play. Then Toronto goes ahead 2-1, still in the second period. A goal by Mitch Marner. Yeah, he's a goal scorer now, if you didn't know. This was on the power play. Marner gets his 17th of the season, assisted by Kadri and Kapanen, who gets his second point. Now, this goal was Marner was on the sort of the right side in the slot. And Marner looks like a lot of times he'd be looking in a different direction, and he'll do these slap passes to like John Tavares, who's near the net, or someone else who's in the slot. But this one was directed at the net and sort of fooled Rask, because when they slowed down the play in the review, they showed how Marner slightly shifted the blade of his stick as he brought it down to take the shot, and it caught Rask moving out from his post, and as the puck was shot, it hit the post just over Rask's glove and in. It was a really beautiful goal. Moving on, Boston ties it up. Curley, there's your guy I said to remember, gets his 5th of the season, assisted by Wagner. Now, who is this Curley fellow? He was originally a San Jose pick. He's a centerman for Boston, I want to say, and a third-line centerman. And, he just played really well this game. He was just forechecking hard. I mean, that's just Bruins hockey, really. But he just epitomized it. And in this goal, Curley gets the pass off of another forecheck during another Bruins change, and puts the puck high glove side from high in the slot on Hutchinson. It's kind of like a change up, and the puck is rolling, and it just passes over Hutchinson's glove. Hutchinson catches right, by the way, so it's a little strange for shooters most of the time because there's not that many of them in the league. It's sort of hard to blame Hutchinson this one. Maybe Anderson would have had it, but again, it's a very similar play. Boston's changing, and they got two guys in one deep forechecking who gets the puck up to the point, who then gets it on net, in which the other player is now crossing, sitting there waiting for some sort of deflection. And that's not the last one you'll see like that either. Because then Boston goes ahead 3-2, still in the second period. And this one, I think I might sound like a broken record, but it was another goal during a Bruin change. With another hard forecheck, and this one was another shot from the point by the goal was by Pasternak, his 26th of the season. I believe he only follows Ovechkin, obviously Tavares, and Skinner. I want to say there might be somebody else thrown in there, and this is assisted by Curley, and who gets his third point of the night. This was another shot. Curley is now near the blue line, throws a puck on net. Another exact similar play. Pasternak's kind of going to the net, is crossing the net, and it kind of goes off a part of his stick. I'm not sure if it was a blade or not. Point is, it went in, and hey, they worked for that shot. 3 goals on 3 similar like plays. Just frustrating to watch that as a Leaf fan as I am. Third period, no goals. Shots in the second, I digress a bit here, were 11-10 for the Maple Leafs, and in the third period it was 10-5 in Boston. Toronto still carried still most of the play, I want to say, in the second period. And in the third, the first half of the period, Boston looked strong. They sort of carried the play, but then Toronto really poured it on, I want to say, in the last 7 minutes or so. Toronto had a lot of good looks. Toronto probably could have won this game, I want to say, by 2 goals. They could have won this easily, like 5-3 in regulation. But Rask was just really good. He looked really sharp out there. If not for him, they wouldn't have won this game for sure. But that's Bruins hockey. Hard forecheck. Never give up on the play. It's just, the Leafs got to beat these guys because they're most likely going to face them in the playoffs. In any case, let's get to some of the stats here. Tuukka Rask stopped 30 of 32 shots. He had a .938 save percentage on the night. He now has 13 wins, 8 losses, and 2 ties. Michael Hutchinson is now saved 26 of 29. He had a .897 save percentage in this game. He's now 3-4-2, taking the loss. Boston was 0-2 on the power play. Surprising enough, Toronto killed both. Usually, this is where Boston just makes cream cheese out of Toronto's penalty kill. On Toronto's power play, they scored a goal. They went 1-for-2. That Marner goal, if you remember, the hits. Now, also the power play, Toronto kind of shifted up some of the players. Matthews was on the second power play unit, and then Kapanen was on the first. They kind of just swapped spaces there, and it paid off for them. Hits in this game were 29-26. Boston faceoffs were 30-27 Maple Leafs. Although Bergeron was facing, I want to say, Tavares most of the game in the faceoff circle and won like 90% of the faceoffs. So most of these faceoffs won for Boston came strictly from Bergeron. In the last 10 games, Boston is now 7-3-0, this being their first win of that stretch. Toronto 6-4-0, this being their first loss. Record-wise, Boston is now 26-15-14 with 56 points, 2 behind the Maple Leafs, who are now 28-14-2 with 58 points. Boston's next game is against Montreal on Monday, January 14th. And Toronto is against Colorado Avalanche on the same day. The 3 stars of the game today, number 3 were Kasper Kapanen with 2 assists and 15:03 of ice time. Second star for Boston was Tuukka Rask, who had a great night in net. First star was Sean Curley with 1 goal and 2 assists and just 13:54 of ice time. Tomorrow's games on Sunday, January 13th. There's going to be 6 of them. We have the Nashville Predators versus the Carolina Hurricanes. I want to say the Carolina Hurricanes are a bit of on a win streak lately, so this may not be an easy or a guaranteed win per se for the Nashville Predators. Then we have the Anaheim Ducks versus the Winnipeg Jets. I'm smiling, you know why, because Anaheim is now lost after their loss to Pittsburgh on Thursday. I want to say Thursday. Or was it Friday? It was Friday. In any case, that was their 10th loss in a row. Anaheim now has 10 losses in a row, and they haven't fired their coach, and now they're facing the Winnipeg Jets. So this might be the game of the night. So you may see some either real desperate hockey, or not. It could be a blowout for Winnipeg. It is in Winnipeg, by the way, so Anaheim's chances aren't too good there. The New York Rangers versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. I know Columbus did not start. I believe they played tonight, and they started their backup, who I just cannot think of his name right now. But Bobrovsky will probably play this game against the Rangers. It'll be cool to see if Lundqvist is in that for that one too. Then we have the Florida Panthers versus the Vancouver Canucks. If Florida's going to turn around at any point, they should have done it a little while ago, but it's got to be now. And Vancouver's still chasing a playoff spot. And isn't it crazy that Anaheim, I think they're still holding on to a wild card spot. Either that or they're just like a point out or something. But Vancouver is also fighting for Minnesota for that spot in Dallas. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. Then we have the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the New York Islanders. The Islanders have been playing really well of late, so this game isn't necessarily a gimme because Tampa just wins everything. And then Arizona Coyotes versus the Calgary Flames. Which Coyote team will show up? we shall see. In any case, thank you so much for watching. Hit like if you like this video. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you have any Hockey Geek friends, please don't feel shy about sharing. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.